Hello and welcome to Doyle Boys. I'm James, the guitar-playing hero.
Are we supposed to accept that?
Yeah, you're supposed to move on. Come on, you're next.
His bit was that it was all something to do with John Frusciante, so I think we're all different.
All right, thanks for telling me.
Different moments.
You're supposed to just know.
Career. So James, he's James from John Frusciante, the guitar god. What would you be, Stephen?
Hi, I'm Stephen. I'm the one who took too much drugs.
No, I was going to be the one who took too much drugs. You're supposed to be the producer. I'm Andrew, the crossdresser.
Hooray, it all makes sense. And this is a podcast where each week us three brothers decide what's the absolute best of everything by going through a knockout tournament with 8 entrants. On this week's episode, we're going to be deciding what is the best John Frusciante album.
Oh, is that the topic?
That's the topic.
That's the topic. I hope
knew
you knew.
it was. Do you know what? I thought the topic was just. I knew it was best John Frusciante album. I did at some point. I knew it, but right before you said it, I was like, "Hey, wait a minute! What is the topic? Just John Frusciante and his life? Because that's also interesting."
Yeah,
it's probably going to come up.
What best John Frusciante?
But before we get into the show itself, I wanted to talk about the big hit.
I don't know what he's going to say here, Steve.
I have no
I
idea.
want to talk about the big hit movie of the summer, the big hero movie.
Oh, I watched
my
the
God.
movie the other night. Actually, it was really good. Go ahead.
Do you know which I'm talking about? The Paw Patrol movie.
Oh my God,
which
what
is
an idiot.
the best movie I've seen
you-
in the cinema
you
in
went-
about 2 years.
You went to the cinema to see this?
We
with your
did,
dog?
yeah.
Hold on, Andy. He was saying a joke there. He said it's the best thing he's seen in the cinema in 2 years, and the joke was he hasn't been to the cinema in 2 years.
Oh,
that
is
was
he
his
poor?
joke. No, because COVID.
Oh, right.
You know,
remember
the
that?
situation.
So what was it like going to the cinema after COVID?
In the new normal.
The new
It was great. There was hardly anyone there because you have to spread out, so nobody's allowed to sit near you. So
Well, you know what I done? Because I wanted, me and Lisa want my partner. Oh, I'll edit this out. Me and my unknown housebound it. I wanted to go to the cinema to see.
Spit it out, man.
Yeah, I wanted to go see A Quiet Place too, but obviously they had delayed the release because they didn't want to release it without making any money. So I rented it off YouTube for €20.
20 euros.
€20.
€20 for a sequel.
Yeah, absolutely worth it.
Really?
Oh, it was brilliant.
Really?
You didn't have to go to the smelly cinema and eat smelly popcorn.
I
Like the cinema cost like €40.
Yeah, but I like the popcorn. I like the atmosphere of it all.
Yeah, but you're not Andrew. His opinion is there's valid, like, so
Yeah.
you can't just say.
Yeah, but I'm older, so my opinion is more valid.
I think the opposite, actually.
Yeah, I think the opposite too. But I just want to say A Quiet Place 2 was really, really good. Really good.
That'd be a good topic for a podcast. What Andrew thinks about A Quiet Place too.
Oh yeah, top 8 moments. And then I keep forgetting that it's a tournament 3. Oh, that's how this works.
So I guess nobody's seen the Paw Patrol movie then apart from me? Okay.
No, but I've seen it quite.
No, but my small child did recently start kind of getting into Paw Patrol, but more into Paw Patrol umbrellas and Paw Patrol bags. Not so much into the show.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's expensive.
Paw Patrol isn't too bad. It teaches them songs and stuff and words. So
Oh,
I don't mind that. Saves me teaching my stupid ass kid words.
And with that, should we jump into the topic of the show?
Yeah, let's go.
And start off by debating what is the best album between Shadows Collide with People and To Record Only Water for 10 Days.
Now hold on a minute now.
Mm.
This is a very niche topic we're going in with now
It is.
for our second podcast.
Yes.
And it's even going to be more niche because I'm going to be right about the winner. So it's even
Well-
niche amongst us 3.
I don't think that makes any sense.
I think that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
So, what do you think we should like just kind of say who John Frusciante is and a little bit
Yeah.
about his music? And you think
Yeah.
I should do that?
I think you should do
Yeah,
that. It
go
sounds
for
like the way you're talking sounds like you have something to
Sounds
say.
like you've got an essay written, ready
Yeah.
to go.
No, I,
mean,
don't.
You do
but I
have a
just like to-
master's in English.
something like that. Yeah. So John Frusciante, most people will know him as the guitarist of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Over the course of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, they've had 2 or 3 other ones, but John is the one from the good albums that everybody knows. Like, Californication, all that type of stuff, by the way, was very successful. But behind all that, he has a load of solo albums. Maybe 15 solo albums in collaboration with
Could
a few
be
other
something like
smaller
that, yeah.
If someone researched this, they would know.
something like that. And the type of music he makes ranges from like bedroom indie rock, singer-songwriter kind of stuff, to epic, glorious, soaring stadium music, to alternative electronica, to more modern experimental electronica, inspired by 90s garage, what do you call it, jungle.
That's the stuff.
So yeah, he's widely considered to be the greatest guitarist of modern times, but us three brothers, me, James and Andrew, and me, he's been
snuck yourself in there twice, I see.
He's been probably our favourite musician for the longest part of our lives, consistently, I would say.
Yeah.
Okay, now explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old.
James, that's your job.
John Frusciante makes really good music that we have loved for like 15 years.
That's true.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And he's the best in the world. So we wanted to have a chat about which album is the best, because I don't know about you, Steve or Andrew. Like, I don't know what will win this overall.
Same, yeah. I don't know which one I think is the best album, and I'm excited to find out.
Yeah.
So, let's go for round one.
Round one, match one. As I said then, it's Shadows Collide with People versus To Record Only Water for 10 Days. Two kind of earlier John Frusciante albums.
Well, they're his first two albums after his recovery.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
after post-recovery.
Post-recovery.
Making sense, John Frusciante.
Yeah. Especially To Record Only Water was a lot about recovery.
Yeah, so that's one of the things I think that drew us to John Frusciante initially, was his whole story of like joined the Chili Peppers when he was really young, then basically it was all too much for him and he kind of fell into like being addicted to heroin and things.
Yeah.
And then his recovery from that and coming back to the Chili Peppers, and like how he talks about that through in his songs is kind of part of the fun as well. Like,
yeah. So I have some notes taken down on my phone because I listened to Record Only Water for 10 days.
Wow, that's a long time to listen to one album.
Yeah. I think the album flows really, really well. Yeah, it feels like one song rolls into the next song, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole album is just this steady kind of moment through all of them, and the songs are really rhythmic, and like they're like Queens of the Stone Age. They're kind of basic. The beats in them.
They have a consistent beat to them. And I think there's two good reasons for that. One, he did record the album in 10 days. This is, one solid project. And I think the reason for the steady rolling rhythm is he uses a drum machine for the whole album. So he's programming a drum beat, which I love. I love that. He hits play on it. And the drum beats are from a man who completely understands music theory. There's no working successful musician who has a better understanding of music theory than John, and a more natural groove than John Frusciante. He's in a funk band. He knows about groove. So I think that's a great upside to it.
Definitely, yeah. And I think it's like that sound of like the kind of drums being so raw, and then the actual like recording even of his voice like kind of sounds more rough almost. And I think then like Shadows Collide with People is kind of a very direct response to that. That like Shadows Collide with People is very, very produced.
Very produced.
And it's got an actual drummer playing drums, you know what I mean? So it's a very different kind of feel.
Yeah, well that Shadows Collide actually, that goes against Shadows Collide. That's like I would prefer to record Only Water for 10 days for the way it's mastered and recorded.
Yeah.
Shadows Collide, because I don't like music that is overly produced.
Yeah.
And I know he hasn't done a lot of it since then, maybe the Imperium. But yeah, not to say it's a bad album, but
I think another big mark between these songs and Shadows Collide with People acts as a sort of a big mark in his career here, or in his career as an artist, is before Shadows Collide with People, to most people's ears, John Frusciante wasn't a great singer. To record Only Water for 10 days, he's finding his voice. He's discovering that he has a voice. He can hold and sustain notes and bring his voice to places.
He's definitely more restrained on that album.
In Shadows Collide with People, he can sing anything he wants to sing, and moving forward he can sing everything. Interesting tidbit, John Frusciante's vocal coach is also Bjork's vocal coach. It's the same person. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was obviously something he'd worked really hard on because he loves music that much and he loves making
music.
music that much
Yeah.
and he can understand it so well. He'd get it.
It's just
He'd get it
another
so
instrument.
quick.
The voice is another instrument. Like,
And like I don't know if you would agree, but like on the Red Hot Chili Peppers albums, like all the best singing on those albums is John's backing vocals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
yeah.
And actually
Like-
on Shadows Collide, I remember seeing interviews with him and he was listening to all like 60s
doo-wop
pop
and all that
music,
stuff.
doo-wop and all, yeah, like
Yeah,
pop
yeah.
music at the time, I suppose, and there was so much backing singing in that and it was so good.
Well,
That's
Shadows
something that I
Collide.
really love about Shadows Collide, I would say, actually, that all his backing singing in it
Yeah.
was really good, and Josh Klinghoffer.
So one thing I love Shadows Collide as well, like, but one thing I don't like is the kind of the noise songs.
Oh really? I love them.
Like they serve
I
a
love them.
purpose on the album, like, which is to kind of create this gap before the next songs, like almost. And there's one of them, I think, like the last one. I do kind of like. I like that one, but the two before that are much like they're just like noise. Do you know what I mean? And they're fine, but if I'm listening to the album, I'll just skip those tracks. You know what I mean?
Really, I listen to them
A lot
every
of the time I will.
I think if you're actually listening to the album, because I know in another one of his albums, The Empyrean, I didn't like it that much, but I actually sat down and listened to it and turned off all the lights and sat down and got. I haven't actually done it with Shadows Collide, I would say, but like if you just listen to it and it's building from the next song to the next, I think that's what really makes them really, really good.
Yeah.
Oh no,
I do.
I know what you mean, and like I think we'll get to the Imperium, but I think it works very well there. But I just don't think it works as well on Shadows Collide. Whereas on To Record Only Water, there's tracks on that as well, which are just, you know, audio tracks, but they're guitar music and they're amazing and brilliant. Like Murderers is fantastic. Like,
But you know, like at the start of the album, like Carvel, where the whole thing is building up.
oh yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I feel the same way as at the start of Carvel as I feel about the rest of those songs, kind of. But I know you're kind of wanting to listen to the next song then, as Stephen was saying. Stephen said,
Yeah, I think so. So how are we feeling here in terms of a battle? Like, because I'm hearing a lot more pros for Record Only Water for 10 Days, which I have to say, for the longest time, not necessarily now, but for the longest time, there was no better album to beat than To Record Only Water for 10 Days, John Frusciante or otherwise. It was always my whole life. That's been my favourite album.
But
You know, whenever I talk
one
about the
thing again for me personally anyway, it was like Shadows Collide was the start of John Frusciante.
Yeah, it was the first album we all
It was the first album we all listened to.
Yeah.
But what I would also say is the first version of it that I re-listened to was the acoustic version.
Oh, right.
Do you remember?
Oh, that was the first. Yeah, I absolutely remember it.
Yeah.
I love it. I probably prefer it to the actual album.
Yeah, and I think I prefer it too because it's just John Frusciante playing the acoustic.
I have a problem here that on nearly all of these albums, bar Shadows Collide, which doesn't have a bonus track that I particularly like, but it has a whole other album that I actually prefer to it. Nearly all of these albums have a bonus track that is my favourite song off the album. but To Record Only Water for 10 Days doesn't have that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd absolutely agree with you. The acoustic version I actually much prefer because it's so raw.
Yeah, so raw. Exactly, yeah.
It's so good.
And I think that's one reason why I'd probably lean more towards Recording Water is because I think the best version of Shadows Collide with People is not the album version. You know what I mean?
Oh God. What's your hot take on this, Steve?
Oh, I prefer To Record Only Water for 10 Days because I just identify more with it. I mean, the only downside is one that Andy gave a plus side, which is the song. A lot of the songs sound similar, which to me is in some ways a downside. Shadows Collide is a signal of John's future, whereas To Record Only Water for 10 Days is a signal of his past. Another interesting tidbit is between these two albums, he recorded the By the Way album with Red Hot Chili Peppers, which was a massive album for them. Like, I mean, every album for them is massive.
Yeah,
and,
I see some similarities in between By the Way and Shadows Collide, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, two polished albums, two very polished albums. But yeah, I think if the two of you agree, I think we can call this one for To Record Only Water.
Yeah, I kind of think so too.
Great.
Sorry,
Well,
I have some
deserving
other points
written.
I want to make about To Record Only Water.
Well, that's going to be in the
That's
next
great.
round.
Yeah,
so.
that's cool. That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Okay, so next up then is Inside of Emptiness versus The Empyrean.
I'm gonna have to pull up a track list here, boys.
I get a track
Inside of Emptiness versus the Empyrean. Oh yeah. So Inside of Emptiness is like the rock album. It's all guitars, guitars, drum, bass, vocals, a little bit of synth. That's the album. And the Empyrean is like, Empyrean basically means like God. It's like another, and the album is like that. It's like space, full of
The
space.
Empyrean means pinnacle or something, doesn't it?
Something, yeah.
But also related to God. Like the Empyrean, the person who sits at the pinnacle is the Empyrean.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy, John Frusciante, his perception of the world and how it works.
Yeah.
Kind of
and about like creativity. So I was just like, when you're preparing for the episode or
You're
whatever.
trying to get someone to form an opinion.
Yeah, exactly. I was looking for other people's opinions to steal and look like I was smart. No, I found a thing written by John talking about the Empyrean and what it's about.
Yes, I've read it.
Yeah, and it's really good. Like, it's just about like how the album is all about like the pursuit of creativity and all this, and about this character pursuing creativity and trying to attain it. Like, and when I listened to the album with that in mind, like it enhanced that album so much. Like I always really liked that album, but listening to it with that kind of thought process, it was really interesting because there's how the music conveys that is really fascinating. Like on I think the third track, Unreachable, that kind of like it keeps building and building throughout that song, and it's like all these different elements start coming together. The drums are kind of doing their own little thing, and the guitar is somewhat doing its own thing, and they start building and building, and it's just like the idea of the creativity and trying to attain perfection of this creative person, and it all starts coming together and it starts building it up to this big epic point, and then there's this one point where it all gets in sync and it sounds fantastic, but then it all kind of falls apart and kind of descends, and then the song ends. And that's kind of what that part of the album is this person like reaching that point but then not being able to stay there and falling down, and then like goes on from there of trying to get back to this creative place and all.
Oh, that was really well.
I think
it's really good.
Yeah, that's a very good description of the experience of listening to the album for sure. And I would say that the album is a concept album in so many ways. Like the first track before the beginning, the final track after the ending. Like this, he's presenting an album here. Like it's not songs, it's an album. It's an entire project. I would say, because you brought up that piece that he wrote about the Empyrean and all that, to the average person, that piece is impenetrable in terms of understanding it and reading it. And for me, the album is very similar. It's a very hard album. I love it. I love the album. Before the Beginning, great song. 9 minutes long. It's a challenge to get through.
I mean, if you want to listen to if you are in the humour, which I wouldn't often be, but if you're in the humour to listen to a crazy ass guitar solo, that is the song to go to.
Yeah.
I disagree.
If that's what you're
I disagree.
After.
If you're in the mood to listen to a crazy ass,
the song is about drum solos. Then what are you talking about?
Hold on.
No.
If you want to listen to a crazy ass guitar solo, you go to Inside of Emptiness, track number 5. Look On.
Oh.
Hold on now. This is a whole other. No, this is a whole other tournament tree here. We're getting into.
Wait, no. This is a different conversation because. What were you saying about guitar solo, Andrew?
If you are in the mood to just listen to a crazy ass guitar
solo
for 5 minutes, listen to that.
Then that's cool. But if you want to listen to the best guitar solo, then you go to Look On Inside of Emptiness, like Steve said.
Now, if we want to continue this round, we can, but we've officially stated that the best guitar solo in the history of guitar music is on one of these albums.
Yes.
I'm not saying. Oh, what the hell? I'm not saying. Before the Beginning is the best.
No. I know what you're saying.
I'm not saying that. But if you're in the mood to just listen to a guitar solo for like 5 minutes, that is the song you're going on to. But I think I was agreeing with you at the start of this conversation, and somehow I don't know what's happened here.
Okay, so we had a great time there of James proing up the Imperial, which it definitely deserves. Does anybody want to pro up Inside of Emptiness?
Well, I just want to say that Stephen said someone from the outside trying to listen to John Frusciante for the first time, like the Empyrean, would be a hard one to crack. Same with the essay that John put up. But I actually didn't like the Empyrean at the start. I thought it was a bit too showy offy, and I didn't really fully understand that until I actually read the essay that you read. And it was all gobbledygook to me at that time. But the main thing was, he said to listen to it in the dark, or someone said just to turn off all the lights and listen to it in the dark, and it completely changed it for me. And when I just actually listened to it, I totally way enjoyed it more, and it'll get you thinking about different things. And
I would agree with that.
That's really interesting. And I suppose you could say of what he's presented there in terms of a piece of art, like he's really bringing people places and he's challenging you. You know, like if you listen to Inside of Emptiness, like I say, it's a straight rock album. Like I mean, it's a very, very well done straight rock album, but it's straight rock. That's what it is. It's rock. Weird lyrics, rock. Whereas the Empyrean, it is a challenging listen. Like it is something that if you can get through it, you'll have had an experience that you won't find many other places.
But yeah, like you said, that was the Empyrean talk. But in terms of Inside of Emptiness, like,
it's got a firm kick. It's got look on.
You're not done with the Empyrean.
I'm not done.
Well, we'll talk a little bit about.
If it doesn't win, then I don't get to say my point.
We'll talk a little bit about Inside of Emptiness first, and then you can say.
Right.
But we were starting to say like about Look On, and it having the best solo of all time.
Hold on, Andrew. James just put on his radio voice. We're about to hear something. He's prepared.
Something important. No. I've been listening to the album a good few times in the last couple of weeks now, and something I came across a little while ago was someone talking about the guitar solo from Californication, and how, like, as a concept, the solo itself like tells its own little story. And I'd never thought of a solo telling a story before in that kind of way. But then when I thought about the solo in Look On, and how that song is about someone going out and kind of getting, it's kind of, again, another little bit of the John Frusciante story in a way. That solo tells his story. It starts off like up really high and really bright, as his career did, and then it goes down really low and kind of trudges around this kind of like dirty sound. But then it goes back up higher again, and it gets higher and better than it ever was at any other point before. And then it finally returns back into the lyrics of the song, and the character has kind of evolved at that point in the song as well.
Well, that's kind of concise, isn't it? That's a really good opinion. I don't know if I agree with you, but that is a really good opinion. But it's kind of concise to make a guitar solo about how good you were and how you got a little bit bad, but now look how good I am now.
But he is though. Like
he might have done it. I'm not saying he didn't do it, but that was a really good opinion. But.
Well, one opinion I have about this album is, while I love it greatly, like I love it dearly, it's got a couple of skips on it. I feel like
do you think so?
If I'm listening to this album, I'm going to pop off a couple of skips.
Alright, give us a skip there.
It'll be different skips on different occasions,
okay.
But it's going to be skips every again. Like, I feel like, because there's some songs that are so much stronger than the other ones, like A Firm Kick and Look On.
Okay, you're saying they're good. Okay, that's alright.
Oh yeah, that's
like what?
Like they're making a great hits, like, but like towards the end of the album, 666 and Interior 2. Sometimes
Absolutely.
What I saw on The World Edge, you know, I don't want to get all the way through them every time. Like,
I completely disagree. Like, because like Interior 2 is probably more light, I would say, and everything. But
Interior 2, it's really brilliant song, but it's so different from the rest of the album. That it's actually like, if you're just listening to the album, see, I listen to a lot of music on shuffle, so I don't listen to straight albums a lot. So I think when you're actually listening to the album and you got 666 before it, and the whole album is being kind of heavy. I know I'm Around isn't that heavy, but Interior 2 is such a it's a hot take on an album inside a hot take.
But it kind of fits well as well when you think of like 666 being such a heavy song, followed by Interior 2 is so light and airy, and then Scratches is a very, very serious. Like Scratches is the second best song on that album, I think, after Look On.
What about A Firm Kick?
A Firm Kick is fantastic. Like, I think this album is full of songs that are fantastic. I would say I could probably agree that Interior 2 is probably the least good song on the album. Do you know what I mean? Least interesting.
Of an album full of good songs.
Exactly, of an album of bangers. Like,
so.
And could you say? Let me ask you this, James. Just to that point. Sorry, Andrew. I know you have lots of good points.
I don't.
Just to that. So we're saying that Inside of Emptiness, very few skips. Could we say the same about the Empyrean? A song full of really challenging songs that, as an album, we've kind of feel is better listened to as a whole than as individuals in general. Is that something that we could say? There's songs we might skip on it.
I would definitely agree that there is more chance of me skipping a song on the Empyrean than there is of me skipping a song on
Inside
the
Emptiness. I would probably agree. There's a couple of songs at the end of the Empyrean that are kind of like not as grabbable.
Yeah.
I also feel like the lead vocal melody in Unreachable and Central is somewhat similar.
So good.
Like it's I'm unreachable and it's I'm central, and I'm not going to sing the melody now. It's very similar.
Which leads me on to another point I wanted to make, Stephen.
Great.
On similarities. Do you know the whole thing about enough of me and one more of me?
Oh, look at that. No, not really.
I don't either.
We've talked about it before.
Okay, maybe I do then.
They're not one song, but if you put them together and play them at the same time, they like crescend at the same time and descend at the same time. And one of them's like a real deep baritone. He's singing real deep baritone, and then one of them's real falsetto. And someone joined them together on YouTube.
Yeah.
And, my goodness,
it's actually quite interesting. It's a bit hard to listen to, but
we'll have to have a link to that in the description.
I might link it on the Instagram. I might do that.
Yeah, on Instagram. Yeah, follow us on Instagram. Woo!
Yeah. That's fascinating, Andrew. I've never known that. Do you know what? Right, I'm putting my foot in the sand. I've made my decision. I'm voting for the Empyrean, which going into this, I didn't even want to listen to it because it's a work of art. That's why. Because this is a work of art, and to me, there's no higher like Inside of Emptiness is amazing and it's good, great music, but the Empyrean is just art. You know, it's just art. I love and respect that. So that's my point.
I think that's really a really good point. But I like when I listen to music, I really like just listen to the music, just listen to the drums, just listen to the bass. Sometimes lyrics aren't very much the most important thing to me in a song, and the Empyrean is maybe a bit too much hard work. Even though it's like one of the greatest albums ever, it's just not for me as good as the Inside of Emptiness, because I like the Inside of Emptiness that much.
Oh my goodness. Do we have a tiebreaker decision? From the least important person on the podcast, James.
From the least important person, me. I think one extra thing of Inside of Emptiness is it's the most fun of all John Frusciante's albums to play along with on guitar, for me, personally.
Yeah.
Well, you're not going to play along with the Empyrean because you need
exactly.
10 fingers on
Exactly. I'm never going to be able to do that. And I think overall it's pretty close, but I think I personally would go for Inside of Emptiness as well.
I'm shocked. I always thought you were like to me. You've always been more of an Empyrean fan than I was an Empyrean.
I thought you would have went for Inside of Emptiness, Stephen.
So did I. Went for honestly, that's what I thought going in. That's what I thought was going to happen.
And that's why we have these chats, eh?
Yeah, so that's great.
If the Empyrean is dying, can I just say that the best song on the Empyrean is a Japanese bonus track named Ayam.
That is a great song.
Have you ever heard that?
I've listened to it before, but I don't know that one very well.
Oh, it's a great song.
Yeah.
Best song on the
it's
album.
very good. Very good.
I remember you used to always say that. You used to always say that to me, and I used to always get really annoyed because it's like, it's not even on the album.
The drumming in it, it's just so good. It's probably my favourite drumming in any song ever.
Yeah.
So
there you go. Inside of Emptiness progresses. So next up, then we have Ataxia versus A Sphere in the Heart of Silence. Two very different albums to like the rest of John Frusciante's stuff.
Yes, and what has to be said about these is definitely the Josh Klinghoffer involvement.
Yeah,
maybe Josh Klinghoffer should be mentioned anyway, because I think he done so much on
all the albums.
All these,
maybe
really,
not. Maybe not to record Only Water for 10 days. I'm not sure, but
no.
And maybe not the Empyrean, maybe.
Oh, he's heavily involved in the Empyrean.
Yeah.
Oh, is he? Fair enough. Yeah.
So yeah,
so both. Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say. So both of these albums, as Inside of Emptiness was, they were part of like his thing that he did of 6 albums in like 6 months that he released.
So
in like
so
2004,
he recorded an album in 10 days to record Only Water for 10 days. And then he recorded 6 albums 6 months.
Many years
released
apart.
them.
This is all many years apart. All these albums James is talking about is 2004.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, that's weird.
But it's just interesting that like this, there was this whole time where he was super duper creative, and like so much of these albums come from that, you know.
Yeah,
and at the same time, like he's doing By the Way with the Chili's, like don't forget that.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anyone that has done that many absolutely brilliant albums
in that time.
In
Absolutely
that time.
not.
Yeah,
and
it's
so
crazy.
so much variety in the albums.
And we're still listening to them like 15 years later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And still, actually, I'm still finding new things inside the albums sometimes
Yeah,
that you wouldn't pick up on.
I agree.
That's crazy.
And so a similarity, I suppose, that these albums have is a lot of the songs are very long, sort of
Yeah.
5, 6, maybe even 8 minutes. Some of the songs are very long. They're very spacious and alternative. And the difference is that the Automatic Writing, which is the Ataxia album, is a little bit more rock, and A Sphere in a Heart of Silence is a little bit more Dark Side of the Moon, whoever does
Electronic.
that. Who does that
Pink
music?
Floyd.
It's a little bit more Pink Floyd, space age, freak show.
I mean, I don't think that's true at all, because Pink Floyd wasn't very electronic-y. It was much more kind of like abstract electronic almost. But I remember...
How do you get to space? With electronics.
That's true. But I remember when Sphere in the Heart of Silence was coming out, and like I listened to it once, and like at the time I was like, just all guitar, that's all I care about. And like I listened to that once and I was like, I don't care about this electronic dance music crap, get it out of here. So it wasn't for a long time afterwards that I actually like grew to realize that there's good things going on in this album, like, you know what I mean?
That's probably, these two albums are a step down from any of the rest of the albums, I feel.
Yeah.
Do you think so?
Like if Ataxia came up against Inside the Emptiness or the Empyrean, both of those other albums would have won.
Yeah, I agree.
I think they are just a little bit not as good as the rest of them.
Well,
and Ataxia... Sorry, go ahead, Steve.
I have to say that for me, I've already made my decision personally, because I was the one who argued strongly for the... I mean, we're calling it Ataxia, it's called Automatic Writing. I was the one who argued most strongly for that to go in. And not long after going and listening to both these albums side by side, I saw the similarities and could see that A Sphere in the Heart of Silence was simply the much stronger project. And Automatic Writing, with 5 tracks on it, only 5 tracks, has skips for me. There's songs you skip on this. There's only 5 songs on it.
Yeah.
You know? What I really like is the way they made the album, which basically one of them would be like, here's a drum or here's a bass line. And they'd just play that bass line for the whole song. But they'd really play it. They wouldn't program it. They'd really play it. And then it's just them jamming out on top of that. Which it's a jam album, like, which is cool.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
in concept that's cool as well, I think, but it just gets very repetitive after a while, you know?
Yeah. Like if you're driving around in your car and this comes on, like, your
I
journey is
listen to
maybe
it.
only 15 minutes, but the song is 10 of those minutes.
Yeah.
I do listen to it, but I only listen to two of the songs off it, like, you know, so
Yeah.
nowhere near as strong as A Sphere.
I think the ones that have Josh mostly singing on them are just more skips for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they can be. Well, I love his
Kind of a bit
voice.
mumbly.
Yeah, he can be. And you know what? I've searched for him to sing like that again. And on his own projects, like Dot Hacker and so on, he doesn't sing like that anymore. And with the Chili's, he doesn't sing like that. The way that he sings on Automatic with Ataxia or in A Sphere in the Heart of Silence. And it's a great pity for me.
I think if I'm going to vote for one, I think it seems like we're all leaning towards A Sphere.
Yeah, I think we are.
It's a better album in my opinion, and it, as James was saying there, it actually got me to kind of broaden my horizons a little and start listening to, or just start to be of the opinion to be open to more to different kinds of music a bit, because I, knowing that yourself had the opinion, I'm not listening to this is electronic, and then to eventually discover that I actually like this. Maybe I like other stuff too.
Yeah,
and
which I think is something John has often brought to us, is introducing different styles of music. Like maybe we'll talk about it at some point, but his shift into like crazy alternate electronic music and producing for weird hardcore underground rappers has kind of opened up that world. Like, I don't listen to that music, but it's brought me closer to that type of music than I ever would have been.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
That's definitely something he does for you, like, which is great.
Okay, I think we're all A Sphere in the Heart of Silence.
Whoa, unanimous.
Yeah.
We should have a
Rare.
unanimous buzzer here. Stephen, ring the unanimous buzzer.
Ring a ding ding ding, ring a ding.
He's gonna put something. That was really good.
So with that
was it
glory,
good? Was that good? I couldn't tell.
That was quite good. Yeah,
that was good.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for the support.
So with that glorious sound ringing in our ears, let's move on to the last matchup of this first round.
Oh no.
for albums.
Heartbreaker.
This is the hard one.
I can't believe you've done this to me.
Curtains versus The Will to Death.
And so, if you're going to describe these, I don't know how to describe The Will to Death, but Curtains is like the acoustic album.
Yeah.
The acoustic
and Will to
studio
Death.
album, I suppose. Yeah.
Will to Death was the first one released after Shadows Collide with People, and I saw him saying that like it's very much a response to Shadows Collide with People, and how we talk about that being overproduced and everything.
Yeah.
The Will to Death is like absolutely not, and the songs are a bit more I don't know, interesting.
Like he leaves them, like he said this before, that he often does this. He said it about Curtains, I know that part of it is leave the mistakes in, because that's what makes the music good. And like
Definitely.
a lot of music that you'll hear on the radio when you drive around is they've absolutely perfected the sound that they're trying to go for, in the sense of there's no dropped notes, there's no missed beats, there's no you don't hear the creak of the strings, you don't hear any of that, which is great. It's great. It's all looped. Whereas John, not as looped, he is playing that riff in real time, and if he needs to double the guitars, which is a normal thing you do in modern day, they just take the one guitar track, copy and paste, and shift it off a little bit. He doesn't do that. He just records the guitar perfectly twice. That's what he does. And
or makes the sorry.
Yeah, and you can hear that in the music. You can feel the realness on The Will to Death. And Curtains.
And Curtains as well. Like on Curtains, there's a track that opens with him. You can hear him talking in the studio, just saying, "Okay, I'm just going to play through the whole.
I'm just going to do another whole one."
Yeah.
And he goes,
also talking about doubling up on guitar solos.
Mm-hmm.
On Curtains, he rings Omar Rodriguez and says, "Let's play guitar solo.
Let's play guitar solos together, and let's be epic."
Tell the folks at home, Andy, who's Omar Rodriguez? Where do we know him from?
From the Mars Volta.
Yes, indeed.
Who I know from John Frusciante.
John Frusciante's guest appearance on Elvia Vesquez, when he plays the most funkiest rockin' solo on that album.
Such a drop. You're going to talk about drops.
Yeah. You're talking about Shadows Collide with People on Carvel. I think it is. You know, they have the 50 it's 52 or 58 seconds noise intro. They have the same thing on La Via Vespes.
Yeah.
It's like a 14-second one.
Spanish. Don't know what he's talking about.
No,
I would note that I know the length of those seconds because I skipped them on my CD player. Anyway, sorry guys, back to Curtains versus The Will to Death.
On Curtains, I've just been looking at track lists as we've been talking about each album on my Spotify, and I have every single song added to my likes, bar Ascension, which is actually used to be my favourite song, but I've actually think I've listened to it too much.
You listen to too much.
It was always my favourite song after the album, but I have every single song, like, and I don't have like the rest of the John Frusciante albums, like The Inside of Emptiness, even though looking at it there, I love every one of them songs. I don't actually have them liked.
That's funny.
So you're kind of saying that Curtains is pretty much your favourite John Frusciante album.
If someone straight out asked me, I would definitely say Curtains, because Curtains, I don't know what it is, but it seems like the things were happening in my life, and they could directly relate to songs on Curtains.
Right.
And also, if I want to go to sleep, I listen to Curtains. If I am ever like, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, I have to get up at 7 o'clock and I can't sleep, I listen to Curtains. And I go to sleep for some reason.
And Curtains has it's 11 songs, which is loads of songs to listen to. It's great. But it's only 33. I'm just looking at it on Wiki. I always knew it was a short album. It's only 33 minutes long. If you're listening to that going to sleep, by the time it's over, you've fallen asleep. And that's lovely. I love when my music turns off for me. The album has ended for me. Good night and good luck. And that's so great. It's such a calming album. So calming.
It is calming, but like for anyone who hasn't listened to the album, like,
please cancel this podcast. Stop listening to this podcast.
Yeah, go to Spotify and go listen to it.
And do not come back.
No, but like when you say like acoustic album, you can kind of picture something light and stuff like that. But like
you picture like Nirvana's live acoustic set,
or something. But like all the songs have like a real energy to them. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not like all relaxed acoustic necessarily. Like it's quite like they have a big charge to them.
Even like in Hope, where it starts really, really quiet, and then it builds up to his vocal part, and then where I don't know, he's definitely after mimicking himself. Yeah. Loads of times, and that's like the big crescendo in that song. Like, so like calling it an acoustic album, I call it an acoustic album.
Acoustic is not fair yet. Because
it's not fair to it, is it?
He's actually using synthesizers all over the place there.
But
he's using analog synthesizers. Another thing about John Frusciante and his general making of music is like nowadays it's super trendy to be, and I'm putting air quotes here, lo-fi and retro and all this type of stuff. John was doing that in the 90s, not because he thought it was trendy, because he plays real music. He doesn't go digital. He doesn't do digital. It's all real. And sorry, I just got a little horn for John Frusciante there, but we can move on now.
It happens.
There's
a lot of good points.
Can someone talk about The Will to Death, please?
Because So well, I mean, Curtains is the best album ever, so of course you're going to talk about it for a long time.
That's fair enough. But for me, The Will to Death has just so many good intro to the songs. It's got so many good riffs. He's doing this thing where musically what he's doing is normally every riff starts on the note that it's the key of. So it'll start on the C note and it'll be the key of C. You can figure it out every time. He doesn't do that on every song in The Will to Death. Sometimes he doesn't play the note that is the key because he sings that note. He lets the chords play the 2 chord, the 5 chord, and the 6 chord for talk's sake. And he sings the 1, which is, you don't see that everywhere. It's very clever and very enjoyable. So that's why his voice sounds like home on that album.
When I think of The Will to Death, I don't know why, but for some reason the first 4 or 5 songs all kind of meld together for me. I can never think of them as individual things. They're good and they're good songs, but for some reason they just have this thing where they just kind of flow together. They don't feel like particularly standout songs to me.
I can definitely feel that. I feel like I'd listen to a Doubt, and by the time I've gotten to track 3 or 4, I'm like, we're on a different song now, right?
Yeah. I think once you get to, I think The Mirror is the first song that I like.
The Mirror.
The Mirror is so good.
Yeah, I know he doesn't do singles, but that's the single. That's the lead single. Yeah. For me.
I think An Exercise is the first one for me. It's the first one that really hits. If you listen to it, and just to actually pick a moment in a song, if you listen to it from 45 seconds on, and a little drum beat breaks down where it's bum 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 ba-dum ba-dum bum bum.
Oh yeah.
That's one of my favorite parts of music ever.
Oh no, I'm not saying that those songs aren't good. It's just for some reason that's just the feeling I always get in my head about it.
I can see where they come from. Definitely, they do kind of blend together a lot.
Yeah, but even going back and listening to the albums, it's oh yeah, these songs are good. Do you know what I mean? It's not like I'm thinking, oh, these are bad songs. It's a John Frusciante album. They're all going to be good songs.
They're all good songs. There's no bad songs.
But I think from The Mirror on, I think they're all absolutely fantastic. And A Loop is quite straightforward.
That's the one where it's Far Away, ooh and away. Yeah, it's very nice. The days have turned away from me. I want to mention Helical, because that one I think doesn't sound like many other John Frusciante songs.
Yeah.
And it's really, you're in space. He just, I know I say you're in space a lot, but he does have this ethereal kind of essence to his music where he can take you, same as a really good book does, he can take you out of where you are and just make you float in the greatest way. And Helical for me is one of, I'm fairly certain that's an instrumental. There's no singing on Helical. It's an instrumental song, and it just takes you away. And he's working with Josh Klinghoffer there, his best friend at the time, and that song just takes you to a place that Curtains, great album, has many songs, but there's no song on Curtains that takes me personally, subjectively, to a place that Helical takes me. And it's the same is true of The Mirror. There's no song on Curtains that takes me to a place that The Mirror takes me to.
I get you. I think the end of the album of The Will to Death, those 3 songs at the end, you got The Days Turned Away From Me, Helical, and The Will to Death. And that's a big power trio of songs that are really hard to beat.
Well,
yeah, I don't like Helical.
You don't like Helical?
Well, not that I don't like it. It's just it's never hit me.
Really? I like it. It's
I know. I always just went.
I think it's got a cool interplay of 2 guitars playing different stuff at the same time.
Yeah, it's all right. It's,
which is kind of a John Frusciante trademark.
Yeah,
is 2 guitars over.
But I think it's one of the only John Frusciante songs off any of these albums that we've discussed tonight that I've ever had a feeling of. No, but I do mean that.
I suppose the one thing that Curtains has over The Will to Death is
that is the best album ever.
There's no skips on Curtains.
No,
there's no skips on Curtains. You can't skip a song on Curtains.
I would skip Helical, but it's the only song I'd skip.
I might skip 2 or 3 in there just for the crack.
Really?
But Curtains, there's no day that I'm skipping any songs.
No,
And
there really
James
isn't.
was saying about how great it is to play along with Inside of Emptiness on the guitar because it's such a guitar album. Curtains, none of us 3 can sing for worth a dang.
No.
But Curtains, it's such a great song to sing, or album to sing along.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. That's a great
It's
song.
such a groovy song to sing, album to sing.
One, this is again just another.
Well, that was a good point, actually.
That was really
Yeah, it kind of was.
One thing like that. One memory I always have associated with Curtains is like, you know, Time Tonight, that song, and there's a bit in it where he goes, what was it? Why is there no one in my life or whatever? And I just have this memory of walking with a few of my friends, like, and we were just walking along the main street of Wexford after being out drinking, singing that,
Trolling for puss.
yeah, singing that song at the top of our voice, like, because they're just fun to sing, like,
Yeah.
and shouting.
And they're also like all John Frusciante's music is very sorrowful.
Yeah.
It's very
I like
tortured.
That. I like that
person.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's when I think about it too much, I kind of think, get over yourself. Like. But what's funny is you're singing these sorrowful, you know, songs about being in the worst place you can be and all this type of stuff. But it's joyful to sing it.
Absolutely.
Because it's so beautiful. The notes that he's hitting and the atmosphere that he's creating with what he does.
So
I think it's vote time, boys.
I think so too. It sounds like we're
And I
leading
think
one
Andrew
way.
doesn't get a vote.
I don't need a vote because I already know that I twisted your minds off to win this.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on this one, Andy. I'm going with Curtains on this one. I honestly thought I was going Will to Death, but I think it's Curtains.
I think it is going to be
I
Curtains.
will say for the Will to Death, it has no bonus tracks. That is the best song on the album.
Oh, well,
But
there
the
you
whole
go.
album is awesome.
That's the thing. And Will to Death, just before we move on from it, like, has one of my favourite lines as well, which is, have you put them aside, your crazy thoughts and dreams? No, they're a part of me and they all mean one thing.
Yeah, that's really good. And it's the way he sings it then.
Yeah,
as well.
exactly, yeah. It's good stuff.
That's really good.
But there we go. So that's the end of the first round. We're diving straight into
for a week.
Oh, you're going to take a break. Okay, we'll return in a moment.
Yeah, so I don't want to go through this whole. I'm going to talk now. Stephen's going to talk. This is my problem.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to talk about John Frusciante. Yeah, I don't want to go through this whole thing without mentioning like his other albums. Like Enclosure is definitely one that you have to kind of be in the mood to listen to.
Yeah, so it's a much more recent kind of like
Garage
album. It came like, so he had the PBX.
PBX is
Funicular
really good. Le Tour Le Fleur.
and the Tour Le Fleur.
are definitely easier listens
They're harder listens.
than Enclosure.
Absolutely, they're like super electronic-y and weird and like.
But there's not as much tempo changes in
You think?
PBX and Le Tour. I
Like,
think.
I literally, I
think.
haven't listened to them in like 10 years, honestly, because
Yeah.
I just never go back and listen to those.
I prefer those. I much prefer Le Tour Le Fleur, and then PBX, and then Enclosure would be after them. Actually.
Really?
Even though Enclosure nearly made it into the tournament, but that's mostly for scratches, and that was mostly for those 30 seconds in scratches. That isn't
That
even.
scratches this.
Yeah. Go ahead, say it.
That's like a
That's
bonus
a
track.
bonus
Is it?
track.
Is it?
Yeah,
But then
So what round are we on now? Are we actually
Also-
on the
we're
semi-final?
about to go to semi-final.
I
We
do
just
want to mention that
Okay.
Neandrilla Days is a really good album as well. I really like Neandrilla Days.
The Angel Des is a very good album too, but it's never going to win.
It was never going to win, but
Yeah.
some of the
No, because it's got too much weird stuff on
Yeah.
it and it's too painful to listen to.
Yeah, sure. We'll move into the semi-final then. So our first semi-final matchup is To Record Only Water for 10 Days and Inside of Emptiness.
Wow.
Oh, sorry, I was thinking another. So on the Inside of Emptiness, I had a point that I wanted to make in the first round, which didn't make it through. Stephen, what's the inside? What's a firm kick about?
It's about getting motivated to move on, to move forward in life.
Really?
About trying to be better as a person.
A firm kick in their pants, this last chance to get things right.
It's about Anthony Kiedis.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, so this is the actual factual thing of what it's
Well,
about.
this is my understanding of it.
Yeah.
So on
Also, not actually factual, but your
yeah,
interpretation.
when John was like regressing and he wasn't dealing with fame very well,
Mhm.
and he was being a drug addict, he
Mm.
went on Saturday
Yeah, he
Night
went to
Live
drug.
with Chili's or whatever, and he was just doing his own thing in his own world, and
I remember that.
and Nikitas kicked him or something. And it was only when I was actually listening to the album again and I just googled into it. He kicked him in the butt.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it seems like it's an apology. To me, it seems, I never listened to it like that before. But it seems like it's an apology to Anthony Kiedis.
Really, yeah.
Well, definitely a lot of his songs are referencing his life prior to, let's say, 1996.
Yeah.
His young life growing up, getting success with the Chili's and not dealing with it well, and falling into a drug-addled state, and then finding a way out of that.
Yeah.
And getting saved by Flea, basically.
I-
A lot of the songs reference that period of his life. A lot of his songs.
But like, I think that that's interesting. Like, one of the things that's most interesting about John Frusciante's lyrics, I think, is that they're not always super duper explicit, which
Definitely.
which leaves them open to one of the most interesting things in general that I like about art, is that like what you take from something is what you bring to it. Like when you said
definitely.
there, what is Firm Kick about? We had three different answers.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
I knew that was going to be the case, but I knew I was going to be right.
And they're all in the same kind of avenue, like, which is the kind of like the general emotion of the song.
Yeah.
But it's
Like,
just interesting.
Even I'm looking at the lyrics of Firm Kick now, and even I think I'm asking you to later on at some point look at the lyrics and see, do you agree with what I'm thinking?
Yeah, I get you.
Let's just ask the audience at home, please pause this podcast.
Pause it.
Google a Firm Kick John Frusciante lyrics. Read them. Interpret them.
Yeah.
Delete your Spotify app. Delete your podcast host. Do not come back. Thank you.
M City talking through me. I think Michigan was a big part of me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't
M City. I always thought that M City talking through me, I swear to goodness, was a floating crystal city in the clouds.
Nice.
That was communicating to
That's
John
great.
Frusciante
That
and
is-
telling
I
him
mean,
what to
that
say.
seems totally believable.
Which brings up one of the great John Frusciante quotes that, you know, you can't talk about John Frusciante without talking about this quote, which was
your pussy's glued to a busy building on fire.
building on fire. That's a great one from Neanderthal Days, which unfortunately didn't make the list. This John Frusciante quote was from, I think they were on tour, I think they were in Japan, the Chili's this was, and someone asked him about his solo music, not knowing anything about it. And they asked him the stupidest question you can ask a creative person: where do you get your inspiration?
Yeah.
And he said, the angels tell me what to play. That's what he said.
Yeah. I always like that about him, where he just
I always like
He
that.
actually
I always
fully
like the
believes.
bravery to say it.
Yeah.
He probably has some sort of mental disorder, maybe.
Yeah, like, I mean, he's a heroin addict. He was as close to the
Pure
to
insanity.
death as anyone
Yeah,
could be. Like,
Yeah.
pure insanity. Yeah, that horrible interview with the Dutch TV station where he's sitting
that Viva
emaciated on the
documentary.
sofa.
So,
Very scary.
See, now I blame you for that. I used to watch that documentary a lot, and you got me into John Frusciante.
mhm.
And I was like watching
James,
this.
you're talking about here.
Yeah. Well, James got us all into it, I suppose, did he? But
I am a
You do
kind of a
that.
tastemaker of the
you
family.
do like to taste things.
It appears that way, yeah,
But
definitely.
I was watching this drug addict all the time when I was like a kid,
Mm.
and I used to idolise him. Then I became a drug addict.
Briefly, very briefly.
briefly. Jesus, that was fun.
So that's Inside of Emptiness. The other album,
Record on Your Water.
This is a very difficult comparison to make
Mhm.
because Inside of Emptiness is very different than Record Only Water. Like
It is.
it's polished in the sense that he's a much better musician and a much better solo artist by the time he gets to Inside of Emptiness than he was at Record Only Water the 10 Days.
But Inside of Emptiness isn't like overproduced in the way that Shadows Collide was. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's not overdosed. That's true. That's
I think they both have a kind of raw feeling to them in general.
Definitely, yeah.
Another thing a point I wanted to make about Inside of Emptiness in the first round was that it's got a real danceability to it. You can really dance the Inside of Emptiness, mostly because of the drums. Who's playing drums on this album? It's just the usual suspects.
it's
Is it
Josh.
I think it's
Josh?
Josh Klinghoffer, yeah.
He's such a good drummer.
Yes,
He is a good
there
drummer.
He's like the world's best drummer.
Yeah,
I don't
No,
agree
no.
with that, but
But I really,
but he's a good.
he is a
drummer.
very good drummer.
I really, I don't think he sounds like other
No,
drummers.
Yeah.
No.
Is there another drummer?
You don't want to be saying.
No,
I
he has
do
a
want to say that.
he has a very unique style, definitely.
Yeah, I think like his style of drumming is probably my favorite
Yeah.
style of drumming that I've ever heard.
I could see having that opinion. Like, it's okay to have wrong opinions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Dave Grohl exists, like.
Oh
Thank you. Yeah.
no,
Um,
he's really good, obviously, but
That.
no, I mean he could be the greatest at like smacking things, but he can't. No, but he can't do what maybe he can do. I don't know.
Can though.
all right, I'm gonna,
But it's totally different what Josh is doing now.
Yeah. I agree.
It is fully different than what Dave was doing. Josh never smashes those drums. Also, the snare sound on Inside of Emptiness is the best snare sound
It is.
in the bloody world.
It is good.
There's no better snare sound than that. There's a video recently, Chad Smith, who's, considered one of the top 5 drummers of all time of the Chili's. Chad Smith has this video up of him in a room full of about 50 different snare drums, because that's modern music now. You're trying to get the best sound. But all they needed to do was just go ask Josh Cleveland, what snare did you use on Inside of Emptiness? Because there's no better snare sound in the world.
So
absolutely not. So this is what Inside of Emptiness has gone for. Best snare drum in the world. Best solo in the world on Look On. They're two great things.
Yeah. I think it sounds to me like we're leaning towards Inside of Emptiness more.
Hold on.
So I want to say something forward to Record Only Water, which is my favourite album.
Okay.
Of John Frusciante's. Like, subjectively, I might not vote for it, but what it does have is, I know Andrew was saying that a lot of the songs have the same vibe to them. That's because he's probably only using about 7 instruments. They're all the same instrument. It's got a lot of songs that are different than one another in a sense as well, such as Wind Up Space. He's doing a scream, a sort of Kurt Cobain scream vocal, but in a falsetto. But then you have songs like Ramparts, Murderers. You have songs like Going Inside, Someone's Waiting to Fly With Me, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of variety in the songs, even though they're all played on the same instruments, so they all live together.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I just want to say about To Record Only Water for 10 days.
It sounds like there's a joke coming, but
the bonus track.
No,
it's not on the album.
There is a joke.
No, it's not a joke. It's not on the album. But I Will Always Be Beat Down.
Oh yeah,
that is a B-side.
Is it?
I think so. It's not on the album.
Yeah,
but it's definitely a B-side from that era, and that's one of my favorite songs ever.
Yeah.
And
that's a fantastic.
Put the good songs on the album, John.
The best songs on the album, but he did. But and then also another thing, he done some live solo acoustic performances around that time. They're on YouTube. One at Paradiso in Amsterdam, and they're just him playing loads of different songs, loads of covers, but it's a lot of songs off To Record Only Water for 10 days in their acoustic versions, and they are some good.
They're really good, yeah.
Unreal.
Yeah, very good. And that's back when he was still not the world's greatest singer at that point.
Yeah.
But he just sings anyway.
And he seemed to really
and the bloody audiences scoop it up. He seemed to really enjoy it. And is that the concert where someone tries to get him to diss someone? And he's like, no, we're not going to diss him. But then he goes, yeah, but fuck it. Yeah, which he never says anything mean about anybody other than
during that concert, he's like telling people where he stole under the bridge from. And
no, I didn't see it.
Did you never see that?
I remember
like T-Rex song or something.
Something like that, and he's just like, it's just that, like, it's just me trying to play that, and I don't know how to play it. And it's like, so, like, it's pathetic that everyone likes this song.
Another one of his big songs is a rip-off of a song called Rip-Off. Or maybe that's what it is. The rip-off was by T-Rex or something.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So,
oh, really? That's funny. Goodness, I really hope that To Record Only Water wins this round, because it's my favourite album, but I'm trying to find something I can say to make it win, other than saying it's my favourite album.
I am feeling the same way. I want To Record Only Water for 10 days to win. I definitely do.
Well, at that point, I think we should vote.
Well, no, I'd like to say, has anybody heard Scratches on Inside of Emptiness?
See, I have the luxury.
The Scratches of Foresight.
I can listen to this in the background.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that is a luxury.
Yeah, Scratches, that delicate vocal that he comes
so
in.
good.
That's something that you have to say in favour of Inside of Emptiness ahead of To Record Only Water is he is a better musician. He is a better singer by the time he gets there. And if you want to listen to some, like, if my missus is going to listen to it, who generally only listens to the top 500 charts, she's going to find a much easier time listening to this album, any random song off this album, just because the sounds are in tune.
That's true. And personally, I think if I want to sit down and I have a choice between Recording Water and Inside of Emptiness to listen to, I'm going to listen to Inside of Emptiness.
I would say on that point, Scratches, I don't think To Record Only Water has a moment like Scratches on it. It has Wind Up Space, which probably is some
Wind Up Space for me is a big hit.
But it's only a minute and 20 seconds long. I was just looking at this.
Yeah.
So there's just not as much loving in it, you know?
Yeah, that's true. I suppose the closest to it gets is that Away and Anywhere.
That's really
where he's doing a ooh and away, sort of a longer vocal. Like, that's the closest he gets to it. And another thing that's different between the albums is the Record Only Water has these experimental electronic songs on it that were in our early days to listen to John were so alien to us, so different than anything we'd ever heard before. Inside of Emptiness does not have that. Like, it's the rock and roll album.
Like, what genre is to Record Only Water for 10 days?
Yeah, it's kind of indie.
Indie.
Like,
indie electronica. Kind of indie, yeah. Is a good description.
Kind of indie, really, isn't it? Of the time, especially, like.
So I think we got to make a vote here. I'll lead and say, and I'm shocked now, but I'm glad because we're all trying to discover what is actually the best John Frusciante album. I would say, for me, Inside of Emptiness.
I would also say Inside of Emptiness. Steve?
Yeah, I'm gonna say to Record Only Water because I'm to Record Only Water stan for the rest of my life. So yeah, I'm gonna have to say that one.
Okay.
But Gracious and Defeat is it?
Yeah, but again, we're arguing between like fantastic albums. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But one thing I would add in, I was thinking about it there. There's a line in the Record Only Water when they're talking about the solo in Look On and how like if it's about him being like better and over time or whatever. There's in Record Only Water on Representing. There's a line, and this is from the time when he's just getting back to Chili Peppers again. And the line is, "I'm reappearing and I'm holding back. I'll steal this field if I relax." And I always took that as like, I'm such a badass. When if I like unleash if I unleash the power of guitar godness in me, everyone will be destroyed.
Yeah.
And I like that.
I remember some magazine, Q magazine or someone like this, decided to get together the best 3 or 4 guitarists in the world. And it was our boy, Frusciante. It was John Mayer, who at the time was pretty hot. And it was some slide guitar player for the country. And John Frusciante did not look at them. He just didn't look at them. And John Mayer was trying to be cool to John Frusciante, because that's what John Mayer tries to do. He's a kind of cool character. And the slide guitar guy was just too scared of John Frusciante to talk to him. Because John Frusciante would pick up a slide guitar and be better than this guy ever was. I mean, that's his whole career.
I think that was unfair to John Mayer and the slide guitar guy. Like, at least try to resurrect Jimi Hendrix or something.
Yeah.
Sort of,
exactly. Like, because John Frusciante is Jimi Hendrix part 2, like in many ways.
Well, sure. Should we move on to the this is going to be the hardest fought battle, I think, of the entire tournament.
This will be a quick round.
Quick fire round.
This is A Sphere in the Heart of Silence, the fun electronic album, versus Curtains, one of the best acoustic guitar albums of all time. Who will win?
So we're going acoustic again here.
Well, I'm saying,
I think you can't say A Sphere in the Heart of Silence is purely electronic album, because it does have the rock element.
Of course it does, yeah.
As My Life. My Life.
I'm just trying to.
Would actually be more suited to Curtains.
Yeah, but it's only like a minute long again.
Yeah, it was really good though.
It is good. When I say electronic, I mean the most identified elements of these two albums versus each other in a way. You know what I mean?
Versus each other, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot to talk about here.
No, we all know what the answer is here.
Yes, the answer is Curtains, that's for sure, there's no doubt about that. But I have to say, for Sphere in the Heart of Silence, for so long, my top 3 John Frusciante albums are Record Only Water, Sphere in the Heart of Silence, and Curtains.
Really? Really?
Yeah.
I would never have put Sphere in my top 5. Even.
Well, when we were arguing and discussing what were going to be the 8 picks for this, which is hard because there's about 15 or 16 albums that he has that you could choose from, I was the one that argued for Ataxia. And the reason I argued for it is because I got confused with it and A Sphere in the Heart of Silence. That's what happened. Like, the album artwork on A Sphere in the Heart of Silence, I think, is beautiful. I love that brown he puts on there. And yeah, it's just great. Like, Communique is so good. At Your Enemies is so good. Walls is so great. The Afterglow is amazing.
Walls is the best song on the album, I think.
Is the best song on the album,
But Communique...
The Afterglow is my second.
Really, yeah. Communique, I think, drags on way too long.
I love that. I love where it takes you. Like, I love the feeling of being in the dark and in the snow at some distant outpost as a soldier, and you're just like, you're trudging through the snow and you're just looking for this communique.
I could see that
reverse vocals is just elegant. It's just so elegant.
It's just, again, it's the kind of the more Josh Klinghoffer led song on the album, and it just doesn't do anything for me personally. Like,
you seem to
I
have
always thought you were such a you really don't seem to like this Klinghoffer. Is it because he was so bad in the Chili's?
I just don't like his singing. That's the main thing. Do you know
Do
what I
you
mean?
know? Okay, fair
I'm
enough.
just not as into it. Yeah, I just don't want second-rate John Frusciante.
He's not second-rate John Frusciante.
But it has to be said, he really fudged up the chili. He
No,
didn't do it for the
I
chili.
loved them.
He didn't.
A couple of later, not all of them.
No.
But I don't think if John had stayed in the Chili's, that if they became super synth pop with John Frusciante. If John had stayed in the Chili's, we can't.
Who knows?
It'd be like Radiohead.
Who knows?
It'd be like Radiohead. Nobody listened to him.
Oh, I'd love that.
Yeah,
Radiohead
yeah.
are fantastic.
Yeah, look.
Oh, I can't stand that stuff to do. Fair play to him for doing it.
Yeah, it's like go get him, kid. But
I love me some
never
Radiohead.
listened to him.
I love me some Radiohead
Well,
now. So let's
unsubscribe
let's
there.
vote.
Yeah, I think we could make our pick.
Do we
here
even
quite
need to
easily.
vote? It's going to be curtains, like.
Curtains, yeah.
It's just, I'm gonna have to say Sphere in the Heart of Silence because I couldn't leave it sitting here in silence.
So you think A Sphere in the Heart of Silence is better than Curtains?
I think I picked it.
Vote honestly though.
Well, I've picked that one.
Okay, cool.
Right.
I'm sorry. Is this America?
So before we move into the final, I think it's time to take a quick trip to Andy's corner.
Andy's corner.
Hey yo.
Boom, 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 boom.
Now Andy's corner's getting a lot of slack lately. Mostly this
Not slack, a different word.
flack.
That's better.
Derision.
Andy's corner's getting a lot of flack.
It's getting
lately.
shit on.
It's getting. We can't curse. It's getting a lot of flack lately,
Okay.
and there's only been one of them, and it's getting a lot of flack, right? So which I'm not happy with. So I don't know what direction you want me to go with this. So with that in mind,
Better.
What?
here I'm just going to ask you as a question,
Okay.
and I want your opinion. But what I really want to happen is you to ask my opinion after I get your opinion.
Okay.
I'm
Okay,
getting
great.
this. There's going to be maybe you might have to think about this. Maybe you might have no opinion at all. But what is your favorite poem?
Favorite
My
poem.
favorite poem.
I hate poetry.
I can.
Oh God! See, there we go.
I have many poems that I think are fantastic poems. There's the great Sylvia Plath one, The Fish. There's many great Sylvia Plath poems. But my favourite one, I can't remember the name of the author. He was like this crazy New York alcoholic. It's a very short poem. And it goes, the candle burns at both ends, it cannot last the night. Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's only about 2 more lines to it. That's the poem that I always say is my favourite poem because I used to know it, but turns out now I've forgotten it.
Like, I said that in kind of jokingly that I don't like poems, but to be honest, that is my answer. I don't particularly like poetry. Like, I've read a lot of good poetry, and like, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about poetry, but when I read a good one, I feel like the author is being smarmy. Do you know what I mean? It's like, look at my good
Right.
poem I wrote. And like, just in my head, I always think poems are songs without the music element that I love. And I'm much more about the music. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how a song is sung and the lyrics is much more important in a way than the content of the lyrics. Like, and I like the content of the lyrics is very important too, but the kind of melodies is always more important to me in a way.
I've remembered the full length of that 4-line poem, so
Yeah,
I'm just going to say
Google it
it.
too.
James, edit this so it's in the back. It goes.
James is
my
editing
candle
now.
burns. Yes, I'm not editing anymore. My candle burns at both ends. It will not last the night, but oh, my foes and friends, it gives a lovely light.
Look at my good poem I made. You know, you hear it
I
like.
like that one.
No, it is pretty good. It is good.
So Andrew, you're going to tell us what actually the right answer is.
Well, I would say I would agree with James that I do listen to music for the music. But I found a poem somewhere. I was like a year or 2 ago, and it's the only poem I like. So I've been thinking about it lately, and I was actually just wondering, do you two like poetry, or would you be into poems? And I was just getting your opinion, really. But yeah,
That kind of went nowhere.
I was thinking of something else.
What is your favourite poem, Andrew?
Okay, my
That's the question.
favourite poem is, and my one and only poem that I like is Happy the Man by John Dryden. Happy the man, and happy he alone, he who can call today his own, he who secure within can say, tomorrow do thy worst, for I have lived today. Be fair or foul, or rain or shine, The joys I have possessed, in spite of fate, are mine. Not heaven itself upon the past has power, but what has been, and I have had my ever.
No, that's wank. That's the type of poem where, as you're saying it, I'm saying to myself, what the half them words even mean? Like, do you know, what relation does one sentence have with another? It just goes too fast for me. I can't keep up.
I don't know. Like, the second I heard that, I was just like, oh my god, that's really, really good. And it meant something like straight away. Which doesn't always happen with music with me. Or very rarely happens with music with me.
I suppose, like you're saying earlier on, when you're listening to music, there's times where you don't really be listening to the lyric. You're not really focused on the lyrics. And poetry is all about the lyrics.
Which is probably a good... Well, that's probably why
90% about the lyrics.
So much because of the music is so good.
Yeah. There you go. That was an interesting little journey into Poetry Town.
Yeah.
Which I will very happily leave straight away and journey. And let's go check out the final. And it's a pretty good matchup, I think. We have Inside of Emptiness versus Curtains.
Now you're saying it's a pretty good matchup.
It's a heartbreaker.
But to me now, this is a pretty disappointing matchup.
Why is that?
This is like when the final of the Champions League is Barcelona versus Arsenal.
You couldn't give a shit.
You watch Arsenal week in, week out, they're beautiful. But are they really going to beat Barcelona?
That's a great analogy, actually. That was really good.
But
now, James, answer me this: which one of these is Arsenal and which one is Barcelona?
I think that you're saying I think that you're saying Inside of Emptiness is Arsenal.
Right, great, fair idea.
Well done.
And Curtains is Barcelona. But I would tell you that I don't care about football, so this is a completely lost analogy on me. Okay. So
that was a great analogy. I really get it.
But like, is there a solo as good as Look On Curtains?
Oh my god, let me put up this gosh dang track list. What album are we talking about again? Inside of Emptiness. Because the track list is insane. A firm kick. The amount of times that me and my best friend Fro used to just like hold each other and cry and listen to that song and love the world, like, and just love ourselves. It's just so good.
What's this, a firm kick?
A firm kick.
Oh, you're trying to do a song about Anthony Kiedis, man. This is what I'm telling you.
I don't know what that's about Anthony Kiedis.
But even like Look On, like, yes, it has the best solo in the history of mankind. But even like the rest of the song, like, is absolutely amazing too. Like, and like how it's about
the vocals.
Like, Look On, obviously, it's about looking to the future and trying to be a better version of yourself and not being defined by your own like mistakes in the past and stuff. And it's a good song with a good message and the best solo of all time.
The best solo of all time. And the album has, I know we've said it, but it has to be said again, it does have the best snare drum. And it's not a thing to be sniffed on, a snare drum. It's the heart of a song. Like,
a bad snare drum can ruin, like,
everything's
like the Metallica Some Kind of Monster, or was it Saint Anger? Has the worst snare drum.
Oh yeah, it's such a clangy snare where they haven't twisted the little, you know, the jiggly things on the bottom of the snare.
It's terrible.
Call them. It's not right. It's not.
I think I think they're officially called the jiggly things.
Yeah, jiggly things are pretty good.
I think they might be called the jiggly things. But those two songs are unbelievably good. Unbelievably good songs. What are the two? A firm kick and Look On. What are the two best songs on Curtains?
Anne.
I don't think you could pick two that are the best.
Oh, Anne, so many. The solo on Anne is probably just as good as Look On, I think.
I mean, no.
I don't know about that.
But it is a damn good solo too.
It's very good.
Like,
the thing I have with Anne is it always makes me think of our Auntie Anne that passed away when we were, I suppose it must have been 16, 17, 18. Yeah. So it always has a special place to me.
2004, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it always has a special place to me there, that song.
And then, so Anne matches Look On because it's just as good of a solo.
No. Nobody agreed that it matches Look On.
Your Warning.
That's like saying, like, one of these songs is Arsenal.
Let me break it down. And then Your Warning matches A Firm Kick.
There's another song I want to talk about this album that's amazing. That song, Hope. It goes like, I feel the hope running low, blah, 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 right? I was talking about John Frusciante songs that transport you to a different world, and I foolishly said this album didn't have one of those songs, but it does. It's Hope. To me, Hope, when I'm listening to it, I always feel like I'm on an old wooden ship bobbing along in the ocean, and everyone on the ship, right? Like in the song, you're the singer of the song, so you're John Frusciante. Every person on the ship is John Frusciante. So he's going along, and that's how I feel when I listen to the song here. I love it.
A shanty song.
Yeah, and there's a fantastic bit in that song where I think the lyrics are something like, "And have you seen something something?" But as he's saying that, the guitar, that's the one. But as he's saying that, the guitar does this cool like do 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 diddle do do do.
Just a fancy little trill, like
just a fancy little thing, and it flows so perfectly in, like it's like do 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 do, and saying the lines at the same time. Yeah, that's a pretty good song. All right,
that's the problem with picking these John Frusciante albums, because you can go and listen to one song and there can be like a 10-second bit, and it could possibly be the greatest piece of music that's ever been made. It's really hard. Yeah, like and the Passenger Seeds as a album opener, like it's fantastic. Yeah. Like it's just.
And I was just going to say, the Passenger Seed, great opener. And I was going to say that his experimentation on this album is there as well, which maybe you don't have as much experimentation on Inside of Emptiness, but the experimentation with control. You know, where he's doing this thing where he's going from loud to quiet. That's control, right? Oh my god! You know, it goes loud to quiet the whole time. Like that is that's cool. Very experimental. Like you don't hear that. You certainly don't hear it.
And again, just with the acoustic, like doing that. You know what I mean?
And then the drumming on that is so good as well. Another great snare drum.
There's a couple
cymbal crash.
There's a couple of fantastic lines on that album as well that I like took note of. One is in the Pasture Seeds. Just before the solo, he says, "Oh, I can't play it safe, but I might just in case." Yeah, which immediately leads into this cool little acoustic-y solo. That's good stuff. And another one is in Anne. There's a line, "There's so many careless angels responsible for me," which I think is a fantastic line. It's like,
it's a great line.
I believe in these forces that are like trying to guide my life, but they're just not doing a good job, and it leads to me messing up things and all. It's good stuff, you know.
Really good.
This honestly, this is really hard for me to call.
It's really hard. Yeah, well, I feel like I'm leaning towards Curtain, so I'd like to hear some arguments for Inside of Emptiness.
The greatest solo of all time, Steve.
The greatest solo of all time, the best snare drum of all time.
I think if you're trying to turn someone, if you're trying to get someone,
I'm trying to turn a few now. Oh right, okay, John Frusciante, yeah.
Which of these two albums would you introduce them to?
Do you know what? It depends on the person. If I'm trying to turn like a guy who's wearing a black leather jacket and likes Anthrax, I'm showing him Inside of Emptiness because it's the rock and roll album. If I'm trying to turn
anybody
else, I'm probably giving them Curtains because everybody feels.
So I think almost everyone has daily feelings.
Yeah, but everyone feels like, you know, love and sorrow and loss and all these type of things sometimes. Inside of Emptiness has a lot more energy to it. It's just a more energetic album. Curtains is more chill.
Like, I think maybe I would say in that situation, right, if I was wanting to give someone one song to listen to of John Frusciante, I would say Look On.
Oh, one song?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's either a Firm Kick or Look On, definitely.
Oh, I don't know.
But if I wanted to say, like, here's an album as a newcomer,
Look On is not
Curtains.
The song. No, it's not the song to introduce.
How are you?
I'm not saying it's not. Don't frown at me like that. I'm not saying it's.
I will box the head off you. This is the problem with us being together.
It's not his best song, but it's not the song to introduce someone to.
Well, it is if you go, hey, would you like to hear the best solo of all time?
Yeah, but then he done that 10-minute thing for that Wayne guy on his website.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah, the problem though is in reality you can't actually introduce people to music. They have to find it themselves. You can't go, hey, listen to this, it's really good. Yeah. They're going to go, yeah, whatever. Instead I'm just going to listen to what I normally listen to. Like, it's very hard to listen to the new music.
It is. With someone else sitting beside you.
Staring at you going, don't you like that part I've listened to 500 times?
Yeah. I don't like showing people new music.
No.
And then watching them come inside.
Yeah. You sit there and I'll watch you while you listen to this song that I like and you don't know at all.
Yeah. That's a really tough one.
Whereas you could go to someone, hey, here's this album, Curtains. Go off and listen to that when you get a chance. So
can we just like slowly just like lower the volume and our voice just fade away in the distance and we don't have to make a decision?
That's true.
Is this an option here?
Yes, I think that.
Yeah, I think that is an option. But I vote for Curtains.
You know, honestly, I kind of came into this thinking that Inside of Emptiness was high on my list, and the album I might end up picking as the best. But as we've talked, like, I think overall maybe Curtains edges it out in a way. But it's so close for me. Honestly, I could go either way. Andrew, tell me your opinion so then I can feel good about it.
Curtains is 100% my favourite album ever. Has been for like the last 16 years.
Yeah. But
I don't listen to Inside of Emptiness as much, so as we were talking here, I have the joy of listening to Spotify in the background, and I'm listening to Inside of Emptiness and kind of flicking through it, and it's so good.
It is really good. Like,
nobody mentioned Emptiness, and it's the song Emptiness.
Oh yeah,
and it's unreal.
It's really good,
and the drumming in it. Oh, I feel like some of my favourite things about John Frusciante's music is the drumming, and there's a lot of drumming inside of Emptiness. On Inside of Emptiness. So.
Yeah.
No, I would say that I suppose the question is not what's the best thing John Frusciante did. The question is what's the best John Frusciante album. And I was going to say, a lot of the things that are so good about Inside of Emptiness is the collaboration with other people. Josh Klinghoffer, Omar Rodriguez on that 666 song. Whereas Curtains, I think, is just all John, right?
Well, again, Omar is on the second or third track.
He's on 2 songs as well.
Yeah.
And there's a guy on drums,
Fleas on the bass and everything.
Fleas on Hope, the bass on Hope. So yeah, totally discredit whatever that point was. I don't know where he was going with that.
Yeah, that's true. Good point. Well, I've already made my vote.
Yeah, but you've made your vote and you actually haven't made up your mind. You're just saying you just make your vote and you're just like, that's my vote and I'm sticking to it.
Well, we've been talking for an hour and 20 minutes now. It's time to vote.
It is. Andrew, what's your vote?
Why do I have to go?
Because I said it.
Because I'm standing over here. I have to go Curtains just because I have to make.
You have to go Curtains.
Just so Inside of Emptiness isn't been destroyed, I'm going to go with Inside of Emptiness because it's too close to pick.
Yeah.
But I am perfectly happy with Curtains being the official Doyle Boys best John Frusciante album.
That's an official Doyle Boys.
What?
If it comes to it and John lets us, it's the theme tune as well.
Oh yeah, we should just start using that as the theme tune of the podcast.
Can we do that?
Who knows? But yeah, there you go. Curtains are official pick.
Cool bus, round of applause, well done.
Goddamn.
Uproarious applause.
That was fun. It's good to know now what my favourite John Frusciante album is.
Yeah, well, I already knew that, so that's terrible. Yeah. What a waste!
What a waste of your time.
My favourite one is Still to Record Anymore for 10 days.
But you didn't even vote for it.
I did.
You didn't vote for it.
Check the tape. Check the tape.
There you go. Thanks for listening, everybody. If you want to support the show, follow us on all the social medias. The Doyle Boys Podcast on all places, or is it Doyle Boys Pod even? Doyle
Boys Pod. But like, comment, share. There'll be links at the bottom, so just click. The links are where the links are. Just click on them. Don't be like that. Just click on them, man.
And the most important thing is to tell other people about the podcast because. That's how we grow and get to make more of this stuff.
Oh, yeah, more podcasts.
Yeah.
More podcasts.
It's not about the money, really.
Also, I actually, people look up my website, OnlyPans. It's a new website about frying pans. What are you saying there, Steve?
I should say, shout out to our cousin Shane, who said he was listening to our first episode while we were recording this second episode. Shane, if you're not listening to this second episode, you're disowned. You're discredited.
And you're a failed midfielder.
Steve, do you have any links you want to share of yourself?
Yes, please search for Knucklebutt on all platforms. It's spelled how it sounds. I make music, and I'd love if you came over and subbed and liked and commented, and I'll sub and like and comment to you.
Everybody listen to Knucklebutt.
Indeed.
Buy the t-shirt.
Your next release will be a couple of days after this comes out, I think, won't it?
Oh, it will, yeah. 19th of September, I'm releasing an ambient-inspired collaboration project. There's videos for everything, so it's on YouTube. So if you just want to vibe out and chill, that's it. And it's on Bandcamp if you want to give me money. But you don't have to give me any money, just hang out. It's cool.
I will say that I'm his brother and I didn't give him any money.
No, he didn't.
And I'm his brother and I did give money. Because I'm a good supportive brother.
You've been duped.
The money's €1, so it's not that bad.
Exactly.
Hit me on TikTok. Come to me on TikTok. Bye bye.
And if you want to find me in places, I'm Games Plus James everywhere that you can go. Yay!
Oh, actually, yeah. Games Plus James' stuff is way cooler than Knucklebutt stuff. You should look at that. Way more professional.
If you want to learn how to make games and all that fun, come find me. What about you, Andrew?
If you want to find me, look inside your
Apart
mom.
That was the show.